Hey ladies, how are you? Happy Friday. Hope you're all doing great. So today we're going to talk about hip flexor help with sweeps. So thank you so much for the suggestion, and I think it was Patricia Miller, right? So thank you for that. That was awesome. And I had made mention that it was pretty sneaky that you mentioned that. I don't think you even realized it, because typically when you talk about tight hip flexors or hip flexor issues, even when you're going specific with sweeps, it never fails. You have to talk about the hips and the core. So essentially what you've done by suggesting that is you have just wrapped it all up into one. So it has just spurred me on for all of our Fridays to come in the near future. So the question that particular issue is so big, I don't think you probably don't even realize how big it is. It's just big. There's so many ways that you can think about this. So what I want to do on Fridays is give you quick tips. I just want you to come on, get a quick little, hey Helena, does this sound familiar? Hi Elisa, Dominique. Dominic or Dominique? I like them both. Hey Anna. What's up ladies? So Friday I want it to be quick. I want you to be able to hop on, get a quick tip, and then move on. And then, so I'm going to break this up into a series. So next Friday, I'm going to address it again. The Friday after that, I'm going to address it again. And you're going to get all kinds of really good information as far as this goes. I'll probably even talk about it a little bit more in depth on Tuesday for the mechanics of what's going on. Because once you understand the mechanics, I feel like it helps picture things. So, okay. So we're just going to get right to it. All right, sweeps. So, hey, what's up? Robin, what's going on? Oh, like the boy's name, Dominic. I got it first try. Okay. Thank you for saying that. All right, so let's get to it. So with the sweeps, all right, first and foremost, you have to look at your technique. You have to make sure that when you're doing your sweep, you have closed up the gap between you and your partner you're trying to sweep, because that's everything. If I'm trying to butterfly sweep somebody and I don't have them close into me for the turning over, then yes, you're going to jam into that hip flexor and you're going to be muscling over so much and making that already tight hip flexor, or already that hip flexor that's giving you a problem, more irritated because your technique needs to be closer and tighter. So with sweeps, you want your partners to be close, or if you're here, you want to load them so that when you're coming around and you're doing sweeps, that your hip flexor is not the one muscling them over. I'm not saying that's going to fix everything, because, a lot of times we just have an issue that just no matter what we do, we feel it. But first you have to look at that. You have to make sure that your sweeps are close, your mechanics and your technique, and you're not just trying to, well, there it is, like we all do. So if you have a hip flexor issue with your sweeps, I would say if you're not technically properly set up in that moment, I would try something different for now until it calms down. So just like with anything else that you would want to be careful with if you have an injury or an issue. So make sure, it'll really force you to technically improve on your sweeps too, if you think about it that way. Okay, so that's rule number one. The other part of it, okay, so like I said, there's a lot of mechanical situations that go into when you're talking about a tight hip flexor. Stretching is not always the answer, and it's typically the last thing that you really want to think about. A good stretch is great, and I love it. The hip flexor stretches are great. But if you've ever really tried to focus on your hip flexor stretching, you have probably felt very frustrated by that and felt like it wasn't getting you anywhere. So there's more that goes into it. And so a tight hip flexor or hip flexor issue is typically a result of something, whether you have a hip dysfunction, a back issue, if your pelvis is off, just years of being in that position, maybe after pregnancy, things shifted. There's all kinds of reasons. But for our purposes here, what I'm going to tell you really quick. So first thing, you're going to look at your technique with your sweep. Second, you're going to think about other symptoms you have maybe during the day that would indicate a tight hip flexor. Okay? And so that would be through your core, like back pain after you've been standing for a long time. For your hip, you might feel like your butt cheek is tight and gripping and pinching, and there's some pain in there. And for your pelvic floor, so those of you who are new to the group, my specialty is pelvic floor. I help people with leakage issues, prolapse, after baby, anything that has to do with your pelvis. And the hip and the core are so a part of this. So, hey, darling. Hip flexors have always been a problem, Helena says, like over 20 years. Yeah. Hey, Caitlin, Jen, Olivia. Hey, ladies. So, yeah, Helena, that's totally true. Like, a lot of times what we do is we drive into trying to stretch it. And we're missing some pieces. So when the hip flexor's tight, real quick, hip flexor's tight, I'm going to be forward here, and then my hip here, the ball and socket is going to be displaced more forward, irritating the front of that hip joint. And the back part of that deep hip capsule tightens, okay? So the mechanics are off, and then things need to readjust and reconfigure, so you need some other things going on other than just a stretch. Because if you're aggressively stretching that, it could be pulling the head of that femur forward more and be more irritating and encourage that posterior capsule tightness even more. So, with that said, go back over this and listen to those little things. So I didn't talk about the pelvic issues. So the pelvic part of the issues you might notice is deeper pain with sex. You might see some leakage issues, losing gas beyond your control, which is always super fun. I mentioned leakage, frequency, urgency, like you feel like you're going all the time, rushing to the bathroom. So if you have those symptoms associated with maybe some pain in your back with prolonged standing or hip pain in the butt, those can all be associated with hip flexor tightness, not just during the sweeps. So I wanted you to kind of start being aware of other stuff that might be going on as well. And then what you can do is this quick assessment and add in these, I have 3 exercises for you, okay? So, quick assessment. I'm going to have more for you next Friday too. So today what you're going to do first is you're going to get here in this position. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be monitoring the position of your hips, okay? So I'm on those bones that kind of stick out right there, right? My feet are bent on the ground. And then I'm just going to bridge up. So far they're level, right? Okay. Gosh, I'm choking myself. All right, so far they're level. Now what I'm going to do is raise up one leg even with the other. So I'm not way up, I'm not down here. I'm even with this other leg here, okay? And so what I'm observing is, can I hold it up there without that hip dipping down? Okay? And then I try the other side. So they stay nice and level. If you're having an issue, it might dip like that. And I'm totally exaggerating it. You may even see something that's just a little shift. Okay? But if you can't hold that steady, okay, so I'm going to really do this like that. And so I have a harder time. This one dips a bit more than this one. Solid. So you'll feel the difference between the two on yourself. And coincidentally, my left is my tighter hip flexor. This has always been my tighter hip flexor. You might even be able to feel it on yourself when you bridge up. It might dip down even more on the side that's tighter and giving you trouble. So why that happens? Okay, so I have this really tight hip flexor over here. And when I do this, do you see all the shifting that happens right away? This glute isn't firing enough because mechanically I'm off on this side. I'm tight. My hip capsule is tight in the back. I'm forward on that side. You can see how much I sway too. So I know this about myself. So I have to work this glute. Because if this glute was stronger, I'd be able to hold myself a little bit more steady there. But I can't. This one, better hip flexor, allows that glute to fire, and then I'm more solid there. And it doesn't shift. But this one, as soon as I lift, there's a bit of a shift, and I feel it go right into here. So my core can't even activate properly. So step one, if you see some dipping on yourself, I would venture to say that the side that dips, the opposite side is your hip flexor that's been giving you trouble. So what you're going to do then is you're going to dedicate for a full 2 weeks, every day, try these exercises and see if you notice a difference. Okay, and maybe you'll notice a difference a little bit, but it's something that will have to be a process of continuing to work through. And so I'm hoping that as we go through all of this hip, core, pelvic floor education regarding sweeps, over the next however many Fridays it takes, then you guys will have a really well-rounded idea of where you're personally at. Okay? So, the first exercise. Do you have any questions? I'm going to stop for 1 second. Hey, Miss Jody. Okay, so Dominic says, might, her problem side dips a lot, haha. So, wow, mine dipped the tiniest bit, the same on both sides. All right, so this is going to be good. You guys implement these exercises, okay? They're not going to be like your typical like power moves, but they're super good. You will fatigue. Make sure you're fatiguing with them. So that's what I always tell people. I'm not going to say like do 10 or 20 or 15. I want you to listen to your body and how many it takes for you to fatigue. Write it down and do 2 sets of that, okay? So the first one, you're on your side. To properly activate the gluteus medius and minimus, which is where we're targeting to support that hip joint, we're going to target this today. So we have the hip bone here, and we have that front hip bone here. So this is the ball and socket. This is that front hip bone. I want to activate up and behind a bit, okay? So right there, that upper side glute. It's not the big glute max, it's the upper side glute, okay? So when you're doing these raises, I want you to feel it there, okay? If you're feeling it at your knee or your calf or in the front, no good. So you need to do things like bring your leg more in line with your body. Try turning your foot down a bit. Do some different things. Position yourself to where you can really feel that hip moving. Notice I'm not doing this either. I'm not pulling through my side. I'm just going high enough so that my hip starts to work. When you really focus and zero in on an area that needs it, you get fatigued pretty quickly with this long lever arm because these muscles are not big. They're smaller. So this long lever arm of the leg is going to be challenging for them. So you'll be surprised. You probably don't even need weights right away. So up and down. Okay, so mine's getting tired. So I don't even know how many I've done. But do them until you feel tired here. Then you're going to stop. Let's just go to here next. Okay, so you're going to be, so you're tired. You're like, oh, I can't do any more. And then you go to here. Then you're going to do this little rotation movement. Okay, so you're going to go, bring your hips, your legs farther up like this. Rotate, push, meet the knee, down. Rotate up, push, meet the knee, down. You'll feel that really driving in again. So you were already fatigued. Now you're going to fatigue it again. Maybe you won't be able to do as many here because I'm already getting tired. My glute movement they're always weak, so I just have to work on these. Okay, so here we go. That, once you've tired out there, you're going to extend the leg and then do lifting in the front. Okay? Just like that. Get it tired again and then switch sides. All right? So that's it. What we're doing here is we're focusing on the glute part of this to help support that posterior hip joint a little bit more instead of encouraging it more forward placement, okay? And again, okay, so what we talked about is watch your sweep technique. Make sure that you're technically performing them properly because if they're close to you, you're using momentum and you're using just the technical pieces of the sweep more properly so that you aren't far away and really muscling them over with your hip flexor, okay? We could also get into that core on that side could be so weak that you're driving into the hip flexor too much. So that's something we're going to get into. But let's focus on one thing at a time. If this wasn't the answer for you today, the answer will come, I promise. It's just too much to get into for one Friday. And I really want to make these quick for you. I want to be like, hey, hop on, hop off. Got a quick tip. Let me try it. Didn't work. All right, I'll try next Friday and see if she's got anything then. All right, and I'll talk about it Tuesday too. You're welcome, Maria. Hey, Amy. Helena. Thanks, Helena. I really hope this stuff helps you guys. Friday is all about like having a good time, coming on for a quick tip. So with that in mind, I need help naming it. I said Fun Fact Friday, but it sounded super boring and like I wasn't a fan. Or maybe you guys love that. So I was like, ooh, maybe it's not fun enough. So let's think of something super fun for Fun Friday for quick tips. So we're like, quick, powerful tips, golden information, value-packed, quick, fun Friday. So I need you guys to like get your thinking caps on, and I'm going to do a poll, and we're going to just brainstorm for a fun name for Friday, because I'm like I can't even think. I'm out of ideas for a cool name. So let's do it. All right, you guys, I need your help. All right, hey, thanks. Okay, thanks, Vicky. You know what, Vicky? You messaged me and I didn't message you back. I'm gonna get right to that. You about something different. So I'm gonna go answer you right now. Finally, Friday tips. I like that. All right, you guys, keep them coming. Quick Fix Friday. These are cool. I love you guys. Thank you. I was like creatively drained or something. I couldn't think of anything fun, so I haven't even referred to it as a name. So keep them coming. If you guys want to, if you're in a minute right now and you're like, I have so many good ideas, put them in the post. Keep commenting, even though I'm done. Keep commenting, keep putting them here, and then I'll also do a post where you can put more ideas, and I'll pack them all together, and then I'll do a poll. How about that? All right, and we'll have everybody vote. That'll be fun. We'll do that this weekend. Quick fix. I like this. You guys are amazing. Okay, so I hope it was a quick fix. I hope it was something good. Typically, nothing's a quick fix, but at least it gets your brain thinking about you personally. Maybe you heard something that resonated. Maybe you're like, no, it didn't make total sense, but I'm going to try these and see what happens. And so we're going to just go for it, right? Hey, Bonnie. Hey, Nicole. If you guys are just joining us, please go back and watch, because Friday's all about quick, fun tips and just getting ourselves all fixed up, okay? All right, you guys, have an awesome Friday. Thanks for joining me. You guys are awesome. And have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.